Story 1. I believe the Democratic Party had issues long before this comment, especially after they lost the 2024 election. Therefore, this comment is irrelevant. The Democratic Party has been in a state of crisis for a year if anyone hasn't been paying attention. Story 2. Yes, I view it as a matter of evolution. The Republican Party evolved into the MAGA movement, and the Democratic Party should have evolved into Bernie Sanders. By ignoring this natural evolution, the Democratic Party lost out on its message. Enter billionaires willing to pay off the right people and legalize bribery. Chuck Schumer has just put himself in the history books as the bad guy and likely cost the Democrats valuable time to try and stop what is happening. Story 3. Democratic leadership faces difficult choices. The reality is that the Republican Party is willing to take the American public as hostages, while the Democratic Party is not. This means we do not have a level playing field, and our real choices are to lose significantly or lose considerably. I do not claim to know enough to say definitively. I will always vote for and support the best chance to oppose the Republican Party. Story 4. I do not believe the party is worth saving. It is time to start fresh with a real opposition party that stands for something. Khanna is as much a part of the problem as Chuck Schumer. Story 5. Part of me agrees, but part of me thinks he probably had no choice. It's easy to say Chuck should have fought on this, but it's not clear what it would accomplish. The government shutdown might actually help Trump more. It's a bad situation all around, and I am not sure how it can be fixed. Story 6. Too late. The country and democracy have lost. There will never be another fair election, or possibly any election, in this country again. Story 7. Many comments suggest that Democrats need to move left to appeal to progressives, while others argue that they should move right to attract centrists and independents. Story 8. Chuck Schumer did sell us out. Schumer pretended that the American people were set to lose even more ground to the Make America Great Again movement if the government were to shut down. Schumer ignored the fact that the American people already have a noose secured around their neck by Elon Musk. Rohit Khanna understands that funding Musk with an open checkbook will only allow him to destroy federal programs that support everyday Americans. Khanna knows this is a government shutdown bill because it lets Musk shut down all programs that help people, like Medicaid and the Department of Education. However, Khanna's call to take back the Democratic Party is empty virtue signaling. While Khanna was right to support the filibuster of this bill, his pandering is certainly not the solution. Unless Khanna submits a bill to ban the legalized bribery that is political action committees, he is complicit in the problems that make the Democratic Party as disappointing as Chuck Schumer has revealed today. He'll likely never do that because he benefits more than almost any other senator from unrestricted political action committee donations by wealthy billionaires in California. Story 9. My brain has been overwhelmed since the election, and I don't understand anything anymore. I have no clue. Story 10. I believe she is continuing to prove that the far left is more about loud noise than the good of the people. Shutting down the government would have made what Doge is doing even more devastating and more effective at crippling our government. He realized that and voted accordingly. I have been saying this for some time. The far left is too focused on where they want to be and not on how to get there. As a result, they often become a roadblock to progress because they want to skip to the end of a long journey. Every time we make some progress, they throw a temper tantrum that it is not enough. Ignore the very leaders encouraging them to support small steps until we can achieve the big ones, and ensure that any progress we have made is undone. Story 11. This is the Democratic Party, though. They are the party of the people, and the people have diverse perspectives. Despite their claims, Republicans are not the party of the everyman. They represent corporate interests and present themselves as the party of the everyman to secure votes from the uneducated and narrow-minded. This strategy is relatively simple. Create a fake villain, provoke public anger toward that villain, and then convince people that you are the only one capable of eliminating that threat. Democrats face a much more challenging task. They must appeal to the open-minded and worldly who recognize various real villains: patriarchy, oligarchy, theocracy, homophobia, greed, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and many other significant concerns for a diverse range of people. There was no favorable outcome from this situation. Passing the bill means yielding to Trump's demagoguery, but allowing a government shutdown negatively impacts many individuals and may even create opportunities for Trump to implement his agenda. Chuck Schumer did not betray anyone. He made a calculated decision that averting a government shutdown by some time while the courts addressed the issues in the bill. Was it the right choice? It's a difficult question. Schumer can only choose a direction. He cannot halt the situation. The Democratic Party requires a functioning democracy to operate effectively, but many progressive voters in November treated it as a spectator sport. We had an opportunity to stop the trolley for months ago, yet many individuals were unwilling to compromise their principles to pursue the lesser of two evils. Now, as the trolley moves forward, we find ourselves criticizing Schumer for choosing what some consider the wrong track. Yes, the Democratic Party faces a significant challenge. Too many of its occasional voters are uncompromising and pretentious. Story 12. I remember receiving a call from an Indian woman. I was about to hang up, but then she identified herself as Khanna's mother. It was a recorded message, and urged me to vote for him. He received my vote. Story 13. It's about time. It was well before Schumer, before Trump, at least as far back as Bill Clinton. Story 14. This thread is a cluster of frustration from individuals who forget the intelligence of voters, the corruption within the Republican Party, and the compromised state of the Supreme Court. Many factors must align for a Democrat to get elected president of the United States, and it is disheartening when the situation devolves into infighting. Story 15. It is the final nail in the coffin for establishment neoliberal Democrats. This was their chance to prove to voters and supporters they were capable of resisting Donald Trump and the Republican Party. They failed. Now it is time to reinvent the party the same way the Republicans did in 2008. Not to embrace fascism, but progressivism. We need to return to what worked with New Deal ideologies that benefited people instead of corporate interests. The year 2026 is going to be challenging for the establishment. People are frustrated, and we are fed up with ineffective leadership from the Democrats. I am not shifting to the other side, nor am I supporting a third party. However, I will fight to remove these outdated leaders from our government and replace them with public servants who are willing to advocate for the American people. Story 16. I believe there is little chance of a free election in 2028. Democracy is effectively dead. It just has not been recorded in the history books yet. Story 17. I don't understand the judiciary. It seems like the judiciary is our only hope for reversing many of the projects that have been implemented. Is the federal judiciary inactive if the government is shut down? Story 18. This was a grim example of how many non-Republican politicians are complicit with what the Republicans are doing. It is a serious problem that has led to our current situation. Story 19. Khanna has connections to major donors. I feel like he could pull some strings. I even read that Pelosi is upset. Her time has passed, and her ability has diminished, but she still has a lot of influence and remains one of the greatest politicians ever. If she's angry, Schumer is done. Story 20. I have been a registered Democrat for 2 decades, and I support it. If this were a sports team, it would be time to change the coach. Clean house. Primary the older members, the indecisive ones, and the corporate apologists. Get some real fighters who want to serve the people and not billionaires or foreign governments. Story 21. Khanna is an opportunistic Silicon Valley representative who speaks only at times that would make him look favorable or aligned. He is not to be trusted. In this case, he is correct. The Democrats need new leadership. They have needed it for a long time. People see them as ineffective, and they are. Now that Chuck Schumer has essentially nullified Congress's function and purpose for the foreseeable future, it would be a good time to form a coalition to create at least the appearance of a true opposition. This is a perfect time for progressives to finally gain some ground with the moderates of the party. I haven't seen so many centrists as upset as last night. Something has to change. Story 22. It's hilarious that Khanna is acting like he isn't part of the problem when he is the next Nancy Pelosi. Story 23. Khanna struck a good tone, and that needs to stick. I hope that Schumer is playing a long game. Much of the public will remain in denial about the danger of Trump, at least until they realize that the negativity will hurt them, too. Story 24. It feels like the established Democrats are unwilling and unable to adjust to the new world of politics. They are still clinging to the hope that their world will return, change, or be eliminated. We need to make an example of one of them. Fetterman is my first choice. Story 25. If you don't shut down the government, your base will hate you. If you do shut down the government, you provide Dogecoin ammunition and make independents dislike you. In my opinion, the Democrats need to start choosing their political battles more wisely. This particular situation is one where they should quietly accept defeat and not inform their base about a missed opportunity to create chaos, as that would further lower their approval rating, which is already below 30%. Story 26. The Democrats are trying to do everything in their power to ensure I never vote for them again. I am tired of settling, and at some point I will stop making the effort. I know that is what the right wing wants, but the Democrats are making it very easy to give up on them. Story 27. I believe all political parties should be abolished. The two-party system has made it easier to divide the people while offering poor options for voters. I am tired of the extreme left and the extreme right being our only viable choices. If both parties were eliminated, candidates would need to campaign based on their principles. Additionally, we should have ranked choice voting. No more simply selecting the Republican or Democrat option without being informed about the candidates. Voting is one of the few ways that citizens can affect change. Yet many have become so misled by social media propaganda that their voting choices are compromised. Eliminating the party system altogether could lead to the emergence of decent individuals who genuinely care about the citizens. Also, term limits for Congress are necessary. Lifelong politicians should not hold their positions indefinitely. It is time to fulfill your civic duty and step aside. Story 28. I believe their issues began when they promoted Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders in 2016. He had significant support and could have easily won. Story 29. There is nothing to take back. They have taken the high road for too long, and the people are tired of watching weak men complain without taking action to stop it. They vote against their own interests when they do not choose the high road. They are an embarrassment. Story 30. It lacks true leadership. Put Kelly to represent in the Senate. I want him to be a candidate in 2028. He is the centrist, masculine liberal that many have been requesting. We are facing challenging times, and a combat veteran with integrity, whom I generally agree with, would be a blessing. Story 31. Khanna is absolutely correct in criticizing Chuck Schumer and the Democrats for being ineffective and weak. Ro has also received significant contributions from the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, so he is part of the Democrats we should consider changing. Story 32. The Democratic leadership is ineffective by design. They are establishment favorites with no interest in being an opposition party, serving merely as a pathway to eventual far-right administrations. Their principles primarily focus on protecting their wealthiest donors and conveniently funding campaigns for just enough rotating candidates to stall the progress led by the more progressive wing of their party. It is where progressives go to be sidelined, and if they don't leave the party, they campaign to prevent them from operating as a separate entity. It feels as though they are subservient to the Republicans and essentially provide what the Republicans need to maintain a strong party. Story 33. Republicans act as they do because they know Democrats lack the resolve to stand up to them when it matters. They have become complacent with earning above-average salaries and trying to improve their own positions. Republicans are no longer a governing party. They are a group of greedy individuals who only care about themselves. At this point, they do not feel the need to act like they care about humanity because they have what they always wanted: a majority and someone determined to pursue power and destruction. Democrats struggle to keep immoral individuals out of their ranks and cannot persuade their older leaders to take a stand. Democrats showing up with shirts and signs is a fitting analogy for how they combat Republicans seizing power and influence. Story 34. She is correct in the present tense, but as others have mentioned, the worry has been apparent for a long time. Story 35. Yes, the Democrats are currently in disarray. They have serious soul-searching to do. However, politics are cyclical, and at some point they will be in control of Congress and/or the executive branch. That is simply the reality. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.